Ryanair is the largest airline in Europe, flying over 180 million passengers every year. And unlike most airlines,
Hello guys, so when I was going through my YouTube feed, I saw this brand new video from Magnates Media, which was just uploaded one day ago. And just look at it, it's so cool. So I thought, why don't we just create this in Davinci Resolve? So let's get started with the video. So on Davinci Resolve, I'm on a 1920 by 1080p resolution timeline. The frame rate is 24 FPS. I already have the file from Magnates Media, which is this one. And we can try creating this as neatly as possible. And for that, let's open our effects panel. And I'm going to drag and drop an adjustment layer from the effects area, which is this one. And after adding it to the timeline, let's extend its length to this much, which is till our 25th second. After that, I'm deleting the reference video, which is this one. And after that, we will only have our adjustment layer. Now let's go inside of Fusion. And now let's convert this into a 3D scene. And for that, I'm going to add a merge 3D, an image plane 3D, a camera 3D, a render 3D. Let's select them and move it over here. And after that, I'm going to take the media out and connect it to the render 3D like this. Let's leave the media in over here. And I'm going to add a merge 3D over here. Now, in order to see what's happening on our scene, let's go towards our camera 3D. And on the transformation tab, which is this one, I'm going to increase the Z value like this. And we can see this blank image plane 3D canvas over here. The next thing what we need to do is to go towards our media pool. And I'm going to drag and drop our reference video over here. I'm going to rename this as Magnates Media. And let's close the media pool and drag and drop our Magnates Media reference video to the left-hand window like this. Now let's go towards the very first frame, which is this one. And if we analyze the scene, we can already see many elements on our screen. For an example, there are these clouds. And these clouds are floating on the background as well as in the foreground. Along with that, we have this arrowed strip, which is this one. And then we have the Ryanair itself, along with a blue background. So right now, let's create the very easy stuff, which is the blue grid background. And for that, I'm going over here in between the render 3D and the media out. And over here, I'm going to add a merge node. And then I'm going to add a background node to it and connect it and change the background color to our blue color. And for reference, I'm going to select this one. And also we can see that there's a little bit of vignette happening on the edges. So vignette is basically this dark edges which actually pulls our focus to the center. And in order to create that, let's add a vignette node to the stream like this. And then let's increase the softness. And this value is kind of cool at this moment. The next important step to do is to actually change the merge settings. And for that, let's go to the merge node. And on the operator, let's set this to under. So we need to set this to under so that the blue grid will go behind everything we are going to put in front of our screen. Now let's download few assets to the scene. And for that, I'm going to search for some clouds. So let's just type clouds.png. And after that, let's try finding an Ryanair airplane. Then we need these arrow marks. We can either download a PNG and duplicate it like 100 times and do this animation. Or you can use a text layer in which this happens to be a font. So sometimes the arrow fonts will be available. And if you can find a font from here, that will be much better. But for now, I'm going to use a PNG. So I'm just going to type arrowhead.png. And if you still can't find what you're looking for, then it's better to create this inside of Photoshop. And for that, I'm going to open Photoshop. And I'm going to screenshot this as a reference. And I'm going to keep it over here. I'm going to click on New File. Change the image resolution to something higher, which is like 800. And the resolution can be 120. And now what we have to do is to go towards a shape. And I've already downloaded this arrow abundance pack, which you can easily search and find. And over here, I have this one, which looks kind of perfect. And after creating that file, we will have something like this, which is perfect. And don't worry, I'll link all of these files in the description so that it will be easier for you to work with. So quick note, I found another image in which the background is a little bit more visible. I masked it inside of Photoshop. And after that, let's import all of this into our software. Now let's create our scene. And for that, I'm going to take one of the clouds. I'm going to add it to the image plane 3 like this. After that, I'm going to move it to the left-hand side. And if you go to the very first frame, we can see that a very big cloud kind of covers our scene like this. And that's how the animation starts. So let's create that. So I'm going to add one more image plane 3D over here. I'm just going to copy paste this one more time. And then I'm going to add a big cloud, which is this one. I'm going to increase the scale like this. And also don't forget to increase the Z value to avoid this clipping issue, which is happening over here. So let's take the Z value all the way up like this. And after that, I'm going to scale it down like this. And let's move it to the left-hand side. Now, this is what happens on our scene. So over here, we have one cloud, which is staying in front, which is this one, which we just repositioned. And there is another one in the background. And if you move our camera like this, we can see that the cloud in front will move much faster than a cloud in back, which creates that actual real life situation. So I'm going to select this one more time and I'm going to scale it up like this and I'm going to move it back. Now, if you play around with the camera settings, we can see a much better result. So the more the distance between these two, the better the animation is going to look. But keep it this way. This kind of looks good in my opinion. Now let's preview our reference video and see what's happening. So the next thing to do is to make this strip of arrows on our scene. And for that, let's add an image plane 3D like this. I just copied this one. And then let's add our arrow to it. Now we need to decrease the Z value of our arrow. And for that, let's select the image plane 3D. And at the transform, let's decrease the Z value like this. And also let's scale it down. And we can also try keeping it in the center, just like our reference video. And for that, let's switch on our guides. And the short key used for switching on the guides is Ctrl+G. So click on this canvas and just press Ctrl+G. Now let's reposition this one. And also we can scale it down. Now in order to create this strip, what we have to do is to create a duplicate node. And for this 3D scene, I'm going to use a duplicate 3D. And we can change this number to like 15. Now let's change this X offset like this. And if we do that, we will have something like this. After that, let's take the image plane 3D to the left-hand side like this. And also, I'm going to decrease the scale value like this. And then let's go to a duplicate 3D node to fix this gap issue. And this kind of looks okay. Also, one other thing that I found is that the yellow color is a little bit darker on our reference video. So in order to fix that, let's add a merge node over here. And then I'm going to add a background node and connect it like this. And after that, let's go to a merge do. And we can see that we already have a problem. In order to fix that, let's go to a merge do one more time. And on the operator settings, let's change that into in. Now what's left to do is to change the color. And for that, let's select our background. Go to a color. Select the yellow and make it a little bit darker. And this one kind of looks okay. It is kind of similar to our old one, but still let it be like this. After that, let's add our aeroplane. And for that, I'm going to copy paste this image plane 3D over here. I'm going to connect it to the merge node like this. And then let's open the media pool. I'm going to drag and drop the Ryanair PNG. I'm going to connect it to the image plane 3D like this. And then let's go to this image plane 3D. And on the transformation tab, let's take the scale value all the way up like this. And we can reposition it to the left-hand side like this. And we are having this clipping issue because these two image plane 3D is having the same Z value. So I'm going to increase the Z value so that our aeroplane will be in front of our arrow strip. I'm also going to reposition it to the center like this. And also let's increase the scale a little bit, just like our reference video. And then if we move our camera, we can see our animation like this. And we can already see that the cloud, which is supposed to be in the back side of our arrow strip, is actually in front. So in order to fix that, let's go over here. And I'm going to take it back like this. I'm going to move it a little bit up like this and also increase the scale. Also, one other small thing that I found is that our Ryanair plane is having a little bit of yellow tint to it. So in order to fix that, let's add a color corrector node over here. And I'm going to change this to a little bit bluish color like this. And also don't forget to go to its option and click on this pre-divide and post-multiplied box. Now let's actually play with the settings. So over here, the highlights are having that yellow tint. And for that, let's go to a range and under master, let's select this highlights. And over here, let's select this white dot and take it all the way like this. And we can also decrease the saturation and also increase the contrast a little bit like this. And with that, our PNG is having the correct color tone. Also, while doing all of that, I found a small error with our PNG. So if you look at our reference video, we can see that the plane is there. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you look at our PNG, it is having a slight problem. Can you find that out? All right, I'll tell you. Right here, we can see that the plane is actually flying. And we are having this animation in which the plane is flying through all of that, which is actually good. But over here, we can see that the landing gears, which means these tires, are visible, which typically doesn't happen if the plane is flying. I know that this is a minor change, but these things kind of annoy me. So I'm going to just mask them out. And for that, I'm going to add a polygon mask over here. I'm going to drag and drop the media file to the left-hand window like this. And after that, let's check this invert option. Now what we are to do is to just simply mask them out. And for that, I'm just drawing a line over here. And with that, the mask is done. You know, you don't really have to do it, but it kind of annoyed me. So that's why I did that. Now let's bring back our reference video. And after that, let's check out the rest of the video. And over here, we can see that there is this big clouds happening on the background as well as in the foreground. So we need to start animating all of that. And over here, I'm going to the very first cloud, which is this one. And right now, it's better to rename them so that it will be easier to find. So I'm just going to rename this to C1. And this will be C2. This one will be our arrow strip. And this one will be our aeroplane. Now let's go to the very first cloud, which is this one. I'm going to move that in front of us like this. And after that, I'm going to go towards the camera. I'm going to add a keyframe over here. And let's take it all the way till our animation is done. So right over here, the animation kind of stops. So for now, I'm going to add a keyframe and take it all the way till here. I'm just giving it a random value right now. We can tweak this later. And if you preview animation, it will look something like this. Now, if you're having this frame drop issue, what you can do is to go over here and right click. And we can disable this high quality as well as this motion blur. And again, we can go to as a playback and take this timeline proxy resolution to quarter. But for now, I'm not going to do that. The next thing that's happening on our screen is that our plane is also moving along with our camera. So no matter whatever happens, the plane stays exactly in the center of our screen. And in order to do that, let's go towards our plane layer. I'm going to add a keyframe over here on the very first frame. And then let's go towards the 386th frame, which is over here. And I'm going to take the plane all the way till here and keep it in the center. And if you preview animation, the plane always stays in the center no matter whatever happens. Now the next thing what we have to pay attention to is the arrow strip, which is happening in the background of our plane. So I'm going to go over here and take it all the way till here. And we can see that it is happening till the 386th frame. So it's better to take it all the way till here. And here is a trick. If we go back to our very first frame, we can't really see the arrow strip, right? And that's because we don't have enough arrow duplicates on our duplicate 3D node. And in order to preview this more clearly, let's drag and drop our merge 3D node over to the left-hand window like this. And over here, we can see that we need 10 more extra arrow nodes. So I'm just going to increase the copies to 25. And still, it doesn't cover our scene. So I'm just going to give this value to like 35. And that's perfect. And that's kind of safe. Now, if you preview animation, this is what happens. Let's bring back our reference video. And the next step we need to do is to add more clouds to the scene. And for that, we need more of these. So I'm just going to copy this one and place it over here. And it's better to add one more merge 3D over here. And we can connect all of this to this merge 3D. And we can connect this one to this merge 3D. So that we can control this one and all of this will be separately grouped to this merge 3D. And after that, let's bring in some more clouds. So let's take these ones and we can reposition them accordingly as per our reference video. And one other important thing is that we don't really have to place it exactly like our reference video. We can just place it anywhere we like. So few in the background and few in the foreground will actually sell the effect. And right now, all of this looks perfect. What's left to do is to add our text as well as this count value. Also, one other thing that we have to add is to add these lines which are going to the right hand side, which actually represents that our plane is moving. And you can easily find these ones in YouTube. And we have it over here. What we need to do is to add this over here and keep it in between the render 3D as well as the media out. I'm going to add a merge node and connect this to this one. After that, we need to add a Luma key node. We can decrease the contrast as well as the gamma. And also we can decrease the opacity in the merge 3. So I'm just going to go towards the blend value and take it all the way down like this. And if you preview animation, it will look something like this. I've made small adjustments over here and increase the blur a little bit up. And also I'm going to decrease the blend value. And we have this subtle effect happening on our screen, which is kind of perfect. Now let's create this flicker text animation. And for that, we need an image plane 3D. I'm going to copy it from this one and paste it over here. Connect to the merge 3D like this. And right now we have this image plane 3D, which is having the same value as our cloud 1. What we need to do is to bring it back of our arrow strip, which is this one. And for that, let's click on the image plane 3D, go towards the transformation settings and take down the Z value like this. And we can take the X value to the left-hand side. That would be perfect. And we can add a text plus node. And we can rename this as text image plane. Then for the text, we can write the largest airline. We can take this value all the way up like this. And then let's go towards the shading tab. I'm going to decrease the opacity down to 0. And on the second element, which is this one, I'm going to enable this red outline. We can change this color to white. Also, we can decrease the thickness like this. I need to change this distance, and for that, let's go towards the text tab and then decrease the line space like this. And that is perfect. The next thing to do is to actually animate our text flicker animation. So the animation starts over here. So I'm going to go towards this text input area, which is over here. Right click on it and select follower. And after clicking that, we have enabled the modifiers tab over here. So let's go over there and then increase the delay to like 1 or 2. And also change the order to random but 1 by 1. Now on the same modifiers tab, let's go towards shading, and on element 2, which is this one, we can enable the red outline. After that, on the 27th frame where the animation actually starts, I'm going to add a keyframe on the opacity and take this opacity value all the way down to 0. Now let's find out where the animation ends, and the animation ends right over here. So at that frame, which is frame number 56, I'm going to take the opacity all the way back to 1. Now over here, we can see that the flickering animation has not been completed. There is a slight issue with the timing. So in order to fix that, let's again go back to timing and decrease the delay until everything is visible. Now if you preview animation, it will look something like this. But right now, all these text are slowly fading into our screen, which is not what we want. We really need those harsh flickers, and for that, let's open the spline window. And we already have our opacity curve over here. Let's select that, and in order to select our effect, we have to go over here and click on this one. So right over here, there is this harsh cut happening, and that actually makes our animation just like our Magnates Media video. Also, I forgot one thing, which is right over here, our text animation actually fades out. So in order to do that, let's add one more keyframe over here where the animation actually starts. So right at this 72nd frame, I'm going to again go towards our shading tab, add one keyframe on opacity. After that, let's locate where our animation ends. And our animation ends right over here at the 92nd frame. So at that frame, I'm going to take the opacity value all the way down to 0. Now let's bring back the spline one more time. And after that, I'm going to select the curves and hit this one. Now if you preview animation, it will look something like this, which is perfect. Now let's move on to some camera animation. So over here, we can see this zoom in animation happening to our plane. And also there is this number count happening on top, which is 180 million users. So first of all, let's do this camera animation. And for that, let's figure out where the animation starts. So right at the 85th frame, our camera kind of zooms in. So in order to do that animation, we have to go towards our camera node, which is this one. And then let's add a keyframe on our Z-axis. After that, let's find out where the animation stops. So right over here, our animation kind of stops, which is at frame number 157. So at that frame, I'm going to zoom into our plane like this. And this looks perfect. And while doing that, I found out that our plane is having a little bit of camera shake happening to it. And I think it's appropriate to give it to our plane right now. And for doing that, let's go to our plane layer, which is this one. And after color correction, I'm going to add a camera shake. We can decrease the X deviation as well as the Y deviation like this. And also we can decrease the overall strength as well as the speed. Now if you preview animation, we can see that a little bit of turbulence is happening to our plane like this, which is perfect. Also one other thing that I found is that I zoomed in a little bit too much to our plane. And in order to fix that, let's go towards our camera 3D. And then let's go towards the keyframe, which is this one. And we can zoom back like this. And after that, let's add our icon as well as this text. And for adding that, let's add one more image plane 3D. So I'm going to take this one and copy it over here. After that, I'm going to connect it towards our merge node like this. I'm going to reposition it towards the left-hand side and scale it down. And over here, let's add our user icon as well as the background. So let's search for it. I'm going to bring it back to our Davinci Resolve. Let's connect it towards our image plane 3D, and I'm going to rename this as user icon. Now I need to scale it down with a transform node like this. And also we can reposition it according to our reference video. Then I'm going to add a background node in order to create that yellow background. Let's change that color to a yellow color. And I'm going to set the operator mode to under. After that, I'm going to add a mask to it. And we can carefully reshape it. So I'm going to increase the height like this. And after that, let's decrease the width. We can also add a little bit of corner radius to it. And also we need to change this color to white. And for that, let's add one more merge node. Let's add a background node to it. And let's change this background color to our blue color, which is this one. And then we can set the operator mode to inside, which is in. And with that, our user icon is done. The next step would be to animate this one, which is our counter. And for that, let's add a text node over here. So I'm going to add a merge node, connect it over here, and let's add a text node to it. Also, don't forget to add it right after our transformation so that these transformation settings won't get applied to this one. And after adding that, let's animate our text. And for that, let's see where the text actually begins. So right over here on the 84th frame, the text kind of comes up. So let's start animating it from there itself. So right at that frame, let's go towards our text2 node. And then let's go over here where our text new node is written. And right at this area, let's right click and we will have all of these options. In this, let's click on edit controls. If you do that, you will have a screen like this. Over here, let's name our control as counter. After that, let's go over here and select the slider control option. And on the range settings, we can select this to 100 million. But Davinci Resolve only allows us to put like 1 million as a value. Don't worry, we will fix this later. For now, let's go towards the Paste tab and over here, let's select text. Then let's click on OK. And if you do that, we will have a new control setup over here. The next step would be to go over here on the text input area, right click over here and select expression. There are many ways to do this expression, but the best thing that I've found out, which actually makes our expression similar to our Magnates Media video, is from this YouTube channel called Filmic Footprint. They have an entire code which you can just copy paste and have the same result just like our Magnates Media video counter. For an example, let's go over here and copy this code which actually sets our expression. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it over here. Now if we click enter, we will have this one. And you can see that there are three things happening. There is a prefix, there is a number as well as the postfix. And if we analyze this, the prefix is whatever this value is, which means that whatever comes in front of the number is a prefix. The 0 is the value that we need over here. And whatever comes after the number is a postfix. For an example, let's say you're animating a follower counter animation. And for you to write something on the right hand side, you have to go towards a postfix and change them. It can be a bit confusing right now, but guys, hold my hands, I've got you. But before that, let's move our text so that it will be visible over here. And for that, I'm going towards the layout tab. Then let's move it over here. I'm going to scale it down over here. And also I'm going to give it a little bit of drop shadow so that the text will be much more visible. And for that, let's go towards the shading tab. And let's enable the third element, which is the black shadow. Let's decrease the opacity and also decrease the softness value like this. Then let's go towards our text. And I'm going to change the font to Poppins. Now let's edit this code. Editing this code is actually simple. All you have to pay attention to is the equal symbol as well as double inverted commas, which are these ones. So if I change this one to X and click on enter, we will have our X in front of our number just like our reference video. And if I go towards the right hand side with the arrow key, and if I change this to nothing and press enter, we will have nothing after that. Let's say you want to say something like follower. And if you click on enter, that text will be visible after this. So as per our reference video, we don't really need anything on the right hand side. So I'm just going to delete this one and set the commas as it is. Now let's go towards our counter, which is this one. And what I'm going to do is to take this counter value to like 100,000. And if you set that, we will have something like this. But I've told you before, which is Davinci Resolve doesn't support values which are over 1 million. And you might think that we are stuck at this point. But don't worry, I've got you. Remember this postfix which is just edited? Let's go over there like this. And in between these inverted commas, I'm just going to type comma continued by 000. And if you press enter, we will have something like this. So what happened here is that the X becomes the prefix, which is this one. The 100,000 became the number which was there inside of our code. And we just added these commas along with these 3 zeros on the postfix so that it will be visible on our screen. Now while animating this, all of this 100,000 will get animated, but the zeros will remain constant, which is kind of okay. For an example, let's go over here where the animation starts. And I'm going to add a keyframe right over here. Then let's see where the animation actually stops. So right over here, our animation stops. So at that frame, let's give the value as 180,000. If we do that and play our animation, we will have something like this. So the only thing that's missing from our animation are these last 3 numbers. After doing that, I'm going to go towards our merge and reposition this as per our reference video. And with that, our animation is done. But we are having one big problem. which is our plane is going to the right hand side like this, but our text remains at that one constant position. And there is an easy fix for that too. For that, what you have to do is to just remove this one, which is the user icon. I'm going to select this and click on delete. Then we can copy our aeroplane image plane 3D layer and paste it over here. Let's connect our merge 6 to this one. And let's take our image plane 3D to the merge 3D node like this. And if we do that, no matter whatever happens, our text follows along with our aeroplane. So I'm just going to rename this to counter. And we need to rescale this as per our reference video. And for that, let's add one more transform node over here. And on this transform node, let's scale it down like this. Let's move it up and also reposition this to the left hand side like this. And if you preview your animation, it will look something like this. Now let's animate the movement of our text animation. And for that, I'm going to the very first frame, which is this one. And I only need the counter to be visible at the 82nd frame. So I'm just going to go towards the text2 node and set the global in value to 82. And after that, I'm going to go towards the transform node. I'm going to take it all the way down like this. And also I forgot to take this backside because right now we are having this small clipping issue. So I'm just going to go towards the image plane 3D and take it slightly back like this. Now on the transformation tab, let's completely hide it behind the plane like this. Then let's go towards this frame where the animation stops. And after hiding that, let's add a keyframe on center X and Y. Then let's see where the animation actually ends. So right over here, the animation kind of stops. So at that frame, let's take it all the way up like this. And this is the animation result. In order to make this smoother, let's open the spline. Let's select our transform 2 curves, which we just animated. After selecting, let's hit S, and this will be our animation result. The text also goes back down at this keyframe. So on the transformation 2, I'm going to add a keyframe on center X and Y. After that, let's see where the animation ends. So right at this position, I'm going to take it all the way down like this. And also, let's go towards the text node and change the global out value to like 219. Also, there is this animation happening. We don't really have to do it exactly like this because frankly, I don't know how to. I have an alternative option, and that is to go towards the right on settings, which is over here. And let's figure out where the animation starts. And as per our reference video, the animation starts over here. So I'm just going to add a keyframe over here on the right on section. Then let's find out where the animation stops. So right at the 213th frame, I'm going to take the right on value all the way down to 0 like this. And if you preview your animation, it will look something like this. And with that, the part 1 of this Magnates Media tutorial is done. I hope this video was helpful. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye and take care.